God bless you, social media, doing this spontaneous. One's going to be uploaded to YouTube later, and this one's going Facebook Live. So I wanted to talk just for a second about grown men and kids. There's a scripture in, I think it's Isaiah 4:1. It speaks of a day where there'll be 7 women for one man. And so they won't even, have to be called by his name, goes on like that. Folks, there's a disparity. There are more women than men, period. Sociologically, you can bear out by statistics. And if you go into a certain level of life, in the professional lane of life in certain communities, actually the African American community, you'll see even a more marked disparity. But folks, look, whatever the numbers may be, whether they're 3-1, 4-1, 7-1, 12-1, it is never acceptable for a grown man to mess with a child. That is just where the rubber hits the road with me. I don't care how much they look like a grown woman. I don't care if they got bumps or humps. It is never acceptable for a grown man to mess with a child. Maybe all this is coming to the forefront since R. Kelly's documentary has hit out there. I have never watched the video, even when it was out years ago, and I didn't watch the documentary. However, I have met people over the years that still have scars from their mama's boyfriend or their play uncle or one of mom or dad's friends that were put them in a position of becoming adults way before they were determined to become adults. Even one young lady that had to run away from home because she told her mom for years about her boyfriend that was molesting her. The mom took the boyfriend's side and not her side. So she dealt with years of pain, and I'm sure even into adulthood she's dealing with that now. And I even had an inbox once from someone saying that not only were they molested by their mom's suitors, but their mom joined in. They would do threesomes and things like that, just things you would never think, but you never know what folks have gone through. Folks, it's never acceptable for a grown man to be with a child. Never. I mean, I know guys that say, man, well, she looked grown. She may look grown. She may have the upper dimensions and the lower dimension that make her look like she's grown. But brother, it's a level of conversation. It's a mindset. You know when you're not dealing with an adult. There's a certain amount of resistance that a grown lady can give you. There's a certain amount of pushback that a grown woman will give you. So it's never acceptable to mess with a child. I mean, that gets my goat because I love kids so much. I planned on having a whole house full. That wasn't in the cards for me particularly. But I think it's never acceptable for a grown man to mess with a child. Folks, I don't know what the stats are. I know that scripture in Isaiah 4:1 says that there'll be 7 women for a man. That's a scriptural parallel, and I hear all the statistics about black men in prison and black men on the down low and how hard it is for a sister. And I don't want to bear those statistics out all the way because I don't want to depress any sister. If you're believing that God's going to send you a husband, I'm standing in agreement that God can send you a husband no matter what the statistics are. However, on the other side, I do know that it's enough grown women out there that no man should ever bother a child. I mean, I'm trying to keep it clean and make it a female child. It's never acceptable for a mess with some young boy. I tell mothers, and I've been in some church situations that have proved to be true. Watch your daughters for sure, but make sure that you watch your sons. That's a little simple walk to the bathroom with your son with a so-called uncle or a play brother or a any of 100 names that we can call a predator has put many young men in a bad state. And because they couldn't stop the advances, it has those young men feeling like they were the problem. Folks, look, I'm just talking real talk right now. I mean, the video has been at the barbershop for years, the R. Kelly video. Just like some other videos, they've tried to pass me locally here in Memphis. And I don't want to see that. I don't even want to dignify it. But if he is doing this routinely, then, he shouldn't sell another record in our community. There are enough women that are grown, that are thinking individuals that can make their own choices, that no man should ever bother a child. It's unacceptable. I can't understand it. I don't even go for the excuse, well, she looked grown. She fooled me. Brother, it's some level of conversation. It's some level of mental stability and mental acumen that would reveal that this is a child that you're dealing with. I've had friends in the school system in different times, teachers, and they told me, one told me one time, said, Steve, man, these little girls starting to look good. I say, you need to quit tomorrow. I say, in the morning, you go to work and you submit your resignation. Because whenever any of those little girls that are still in high school starts looking good to you, then you're ready to make the newspapers. I'm not talking about being inhuman and not seeing anything, but you shouldn't even look at a child. Folks, there's enough grown women out here that are making their own choices that no man should ever, ever bother a child. I mean, that's my, gosh, I had two sisters growing up. And, I mean, I'm not saying I was perfect always when I dealt with women, but I never messed with nobody's child. But I did want, and then you do a lot of things as a man because you're running with these packs of dudes and you want to be known as the man, and you do some things that you wish you can go back in history and change. But when somebody tries something with your sister or your cousin or your mom, you're ready to whoop them. So folks, look, I know there's a disparity out here, and I wish it wasn't that way. I mean, in our community, if you're a successful black woman and you have to, if you're looking for a mate, I'm not saying that you have to go away from your standards. I'm not saying anybody has to ever go away from their standards, but when your standards are so thin and narrow, you got to know that there's a million people aiming at this narrow standard that you got. I used to tell sisters in the church, they would tell me that, Elder Smith, ain't no men at this church. I said, that's because you're looking at the preacher's row, and most of those preachers are married or somewhere else, they're married somewhere else. I said, it's good brothers up in those bleachers every Sunday that probably speak to you and you walk by them and play like you don't see them. I said, it's good brothers at the grocery store that you ignore because they say something to you and you say, well, I never. Folks, if you never, that may mean that you never will. God may be sending your ram in the bush, and your ram in the bush may be at Whole Foods, it may be at Kroger, it may be at Dollar General, or here, if it's at Family Dollar in Memphis, Tennessee, duck, because y'all about to get robbed. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest as I can be, but still, I'm not putting the honest on the woman. I think that we have wonderful sisters that I pray to find an adequate mate. I pray that all your dreams are met. I pray that one day you have that Barbie and Ken experience that you always dreamed of, have the marriage that you thought you would one day have the wedding that you one day dreamed of. However, on the flip side, Brother, there are enough women looking for a good man, and you shouldn't ever have to mess with a child. It's unacceptable. I don't care how much they look like they grown. I don't care how much from afar they sound like they're grown, because somewhere in there's a level of maturity that you're not going to find, and there's going to be a level of resistance that would not have been quite developed as you would get from a grown woman. Stop praying, preying, on someone that's too young to deal with you. Folks, there's a whole gamut. There's a whole world full of lovely women that you shouldn't ever have to mess with someone's child. Be blessed. God bless you.